The four teams with the lowest win totals in the Western Conference going the next year. Again, win totals is not a projection, but it's a pretty good estimation of where you're trying to set lines to drive money. And it's, usually pretty solid. The Portland Trailblazers come in at 32.5 games. The Phoenix Suns, 31.5. Utah Jazz, 18.5. New Orleans Pelicans, I believe, were at 34.5. Of those four teams, and they're all in various stages, which I think makes this question interesting. Which future of those four teams, when you consider their current players, future contracts, i.e. how long they go out, how much money is on the books, what assets they have, it's draft capital or cap flexibility, basically all of the things. If you want to tie in ownership, GM, location, you can do that too. It's just more of a swath, shotgun feel. Like, whose future would you want over the next 3 years? Because in basketball, probably 10 years ago, you would probably look 4 to 5 years out. It's whittled down to about 3 years. And in talking to decision makers around basketball over the last couple of weeks, probably the last 10 days, when the cap fluctuation that was, how much the cap is going to expand, the expectation was it was going to be 10%. But because RSNs, regional sports networks, are gone and teams are losing money hand over fist in those deals, they decided to bring the cap projections down from 10% to 7%. And now all of a sudden, where teams were planning, like if you're looking over the 3-year period, 3% increase compounded, like if you expected the cap to grow 10%, 10%, 10%, that's not just 3% every year. It's compound because you're taking 3% of the previous 3% of the previous 3%. That is a lot of money when you're talking about your salary cap space.
Oh, yeah.
So that not being there doesn't just offset the projections for this year, but the next couple years as well. And so deals that you signed that weren't tied to the cap, which you can control for because they're tied to the cap. The other deals, like let's just say, I'm trying to think of a player who signed Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl signed a $22-ish million extension, I think is what it was, 22 or 24. Well, you were thinking, much like the NFL, Patrick Mahomes signs that $500 million deal. Well, he signed it before the cap started to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, yeah, it's a lot of money now, and it's a lot of money over the long haul. But because the cap in the NFL is going to go up X percent, it's going to look like a really good deal.
Right.
Basically, from the time that he signed it till now, you're like, don't get me wrong, he's the best quarterback in football. But now, over the next 3 years, his deal looks great.
Right.
His deal looks like the amount of money he is making versus what, let's say, Caleb Williams hits or Drake May hits. Their max deals are going to be bonkers. Right. And so the amount of money you have to put in escrow and all the things that kind of come with that, you're just like, if we do it earlier and the cap does what we think it's going to do, it's going to be incredibly beneficial for us, especially if it's not a number that's tied to the cap. Well, in the NBA, that's a problem now. So if you're looking at teams like the Suns, who are in the process of doing the unthinkable, I still think it's very dumb what the Milwaukee Bucks did. I understand it in one standpoint of you want to keep Giannis.
Right.
And he matters more to you than just being competitive. He's the second best player in franchise history. Lou Alcindor / Kareem. That's it. That's the guy.
Yeah.
And if that's the only guy better than you in franchise history, and he's been gone for 40 plus years, and this guy won you a title in Giannis, and he's so beloved, you can, I don't like it, but you can justify saying we're okay being just okay as long as he's happy and he's here. I still think it's an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
To throw away $22.5 million every year for the next 5 years. It was incredibly prohibitive for the Blazers to waive and stretch Andrew Nicholson in a CBA that was significantly more forgiving.
Right.
The Suns are going to do that without any draft capital, without Kevin Durant, and they're going to extend Devin Booker?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You better pray that Colin Malawach is the second coming of just basketball Jesus. Because your ability to do anything going forward is so limited.
Yeah.
Of these four teams, Devin Booker is by far the best player.
Yeah.
There's no argument there.
Right.
Now, the peak of Zion can be better.
Mm-hmm.
But Zion.
There's a lot of variables there.
So as it stands right now, this is actually surprising to me. As much hatred and vitriol as the Portland front office and organization gets that I see on a daily basis, the Blazers are leading this poll with basically 75% of the vote. And some people are replying, oh, this is biased. Look, the internet is not everyone.
Right.
By God, I mean, it's such a small swath
Yes.
of the fan base. But I was thinking that the Jazz were going to run away with this because people like the hope of draft picks and Danny Ainge and now Austin Ainge, and you've got a high draft pick in Ace Bailey, and people really like Ace.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz are at 18%, the Pelicans at 3.2%, the Suns at 4%. More people are picking the Suns than the Pelicans. I find that to be very interesting because the Suns are going to be in a position. I was talking to a buddy of mine who covers the Suns yesterday, and the way he explained it to me was they're dead anyways. So why not? They're drawing dead. So it's a lesser justification because with Booker, you haven't won a title. With Giannis, you can justify it, and he's beloved. And
yeah,
Booker, by all appearances, wants to be there. But you can still trade Booker and not do this. And he was like, it would be like trading Luka against his wishes. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if Booker's not that good.
Yeah.
Booker's not right now day one Hall of Famer. Luka is.
Yes.
Luka's the only player in NBA history when first team All NBA first 5 years. He's been in the top 5 MVP every year outside of his rookie year.
Yeah.
He's that dude, right? I shouldn't say that. He wasn't this last year. But that's a little bit of a skew. But the Jazz do have Ace Bailey, and they do have all these draft picks, and they do have a Godfather GM president in Danny Ainge, and now his son, Austin, who is running things.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely thought that people would latch on to the hope of the Jazz.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Trailblazers. And it's interesting because when you look at the Trailblazers with where they're at, Jeremy and Drew are their two biggest contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They're both roughly $33 million average annual value. Which, yes, it's a crap ton of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's
pretty cheap these days.
Lauri Markkanen is owed $49 million a year.
Yeah.
Over the duration of his contract, average annual value. Okay? The Blazers don't have a single $20 million a year contract on their books right now.
Man.
It's kind of crazy when you think about that.
Yeah.
So they have the two expensive ones in Drew and JG. There's no one making between 20 and that number.
Right.
Denny Avdia's contract might be the most valuable non-rookie scale contract in the NBA. It's a declining deal.
Yes.
In the last year of his deal, he is making, I think, 13 or 12.8, which is insane value
for the kind of production that he provides.
And even let's just say he is what he is, and
Yeah.
he doesn't evolve one bit further.
Yeah.
Not one bit.
Still a hell of a deal.
Still, I mean, he's an incredible player.
Yeah.
And when you factor in that price point, you're going, that's less than the MLE
Yeah.
by a lot.
Yeah.
Go on the open market with an MLE if you put free agency out there. Find me a player better than him.
Good luck with that.
You won't.
Yeah.
So that part is like, hey, that's pretty good. Here's the other interesting thing, and this will change this year, but as it stands right now, there are only 5 players under contract going into 2026. Now, they have options on guys.
Right.
But they only 5 players are currently under contract, and that includes Young.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, you've got lots of options, lots of room.
Now, they have to figure out deals with Scoot.
Yeah.
And Shaden.
Right.
And 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be willing to bet that 2 gets paid $20 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it. His max deal is $489. I have zero issue with the Blazers giving him every penny.
Yeah.
You want to pay 2, $22.5 million a year? Go for it. Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
All for it. Hands up. Go with it. Cinema, baby. I'm all in it. But you look at the Pelicans, what the hell are they? They draft Jeremiah Fears. They draft Derek Queen. They have Zion. They have Trey. They have Herb Jones. They have Eve Missy. They have DeJounte Murray. And you're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is the future that you're looking at there? And that's where I'm willing to give the Trailblazers the benefit of the doubt. And yes, they are moving slower than everyone. Even me wants them to move with certain things. But it is an interesting spot when you think about it, like, oh, the Jazz have this bright future. Do they?
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for having some known quantities. And the Jazz do have two of them, in Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. Outside of that, you're still rolling the dice. And you should, like, the hope and pray part of this is just not something that a lot of front offices are interested in, because with the flattening of the lottery odds, we've had 2 years where double-digit lottery teams got the number 1 overall pick, 10th in Atlanta, 13th in Dallas. The Wizards and the Jazz the Wizards, Jazz, and Nets just threw away seasons and ended up with bad picks.
Yep.
Like, that's just
Them's the breaks.
And that's the thing, is like, do you really want to continue to throw away seasons to justify this?
Right.
And I get it. The allure of Cooper Flagg going in next year's draft, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, Mikael Brown Jr. Like, there are dudes in this draft, like, Kamenia, Amen. Like, there are guys in this draft next year that I think are going to be stellar NBA players. And the allure of that is fantastic. But throwing away whole years just for the hell of it.
Well, I mean, it's not just for the hell of it. It's, you're still trying to play the odds,
which aren't that great anymore.
They're not that great anymore, but it is what it is, and I guess we'll see if
this is a flash in the pan with, some higher teams pumping up, because again, this has only been since 2020.
Yeah.
That's
it's a small sample size.
But already it's, sorry, not 2020, the 2019-20 season.
Okay.
So what, 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
2 of those 6 years, a third of those years, teams that were not supposed to have a snowball's chance in hell got number 1 overall picks.
Yeah.
And San Antonio jumped up twice.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because of that deal with the devil, but
it's a great spot to be. All right, coming up, pivot away from basketball for a little bit, and again, the poll's up at Danny and Dusty.